And we're back. Average Joe Sports Talk. We are here with our first weekly college football review show, which we're going to be doing every week. We're super excited about. We're going to dive right down. We're going to go down the list of the top 25 teams around the nation, and as the games introvert into that top 25, the ones that we've talked about, we're going to dig a little bit deeper, or just something that we've seen that we want to bring up on the show. That's kind of how we're going to do this. Let's dive right into the first game, and that's going to be number 1 Alabama versus Louisville. It was a 51-14 win for the Crimson Tide. A side note, the 74 straight wins against unranked teams for Alabama. That broke a Florida Gator record that we had, which I'm not too happy about, by the way. But I'm just kidding. It's actually very impressive to get your team up to play teams like that over and over. Before the game started, everybody had the big question, who was going to start, Tua or Jalen. We found out, obviously, it ended up being Tua. Josh, give us your breakdown on the game.
I was really impressed with Tua. I want to say almost everything he did was correct. Now, the first quarter touchdown pass against an SEC team, that's a 50-50 ball. It ended up going Tua's way. Judy made a great play on the ball, but that could have easily have been an interception, but it wasn't. Jalen came in spots, and it just feels like Tua made some better plays. But Waddell, true freshman, came in, put us in good field position, gave us a short field. And I'll let Woods talk about Jalen.
To preface this again, Tua played well against a team that he should have played well against, Louisville. Not a very good pass defense. I see the hype around him. I see the anticipation throws and the out routes. I see, something Jalen may not, he may wait till he make a cut and get. But I see the hype. But I also feel that Jalen he's a 3-year starter or 2-year starter, former SEC Player of the Year. Obviously, when he comes in after Tua does a pretty good job, he's maybe not in the best situation. Feels like he needs to make plays. Kid drops the pass on the first drive. But, it's here nor there at this point. Tua did a great job. Beat a team he should have beat. Played well. Special teams was outstanding. Put him in short yardage situations a lot. Upset me that they took Jalen Hurts out after the kid ran it back all the way down the 30-yard line. Gave the ball back to gave him a short field. Maybe, in my opinion, should have given Hurts one more drive. But they did their job. They did what they were supposed to do against Louisville. And move on to next week with it.
I saw Saban chewing out Hurts on the sidelines as he come off on that second drive, which is kind of what he does, kind of his MO. With that being said, I want to dive into something real quick we talked about before. That's Nick Saban, the way he talks to reporters. If anybody hadn't seen the interview with the young lady before the game, she simply asked, which one of these guys is it going to be? And he goes, well, we've got 30 more seconds. You're going to see who it is in 30 seconds. Is anticipation killing you? And I'm like, bro, come on, dude. Just chill out. You know what I'm saying? And then after the game, same young lady asked, basically, was there any kind of separation between the two? And he goes, y'all know what you're wanting to do. You're trying to bait me into saying something bad or negative about one of these two guys. I'm not going to do it. And I'm like, okay, dude, stop. Stop with the arrogance. Stop treating this young lady who's doing her job. Treat her with some respect. I've said this time and again. What if the reporter treated him like that? What if the reporter said, hey, douchebag, who's starting?
Yeah.
Is it Tua or Jalen? He's going to go nuclear, and he's going to get her fired. But essentially, that's exactly what he did to the young lady. Josh, you're an Alabama fan. You speak up.
Yeah, it's hard to defend that. There's been talk of whether or not he refused to name a starter out of respect for Tua and Jalen, to try to get Petrino to have to prepare for two quarterbacks. But 30 seconds before the game, I don't see what the harm would have been in saying, hey, first series we're coming out with Tua.
Jalen will play.
Jalen will play. We have a plan in place. There's, I know he gets tired of hearing it, but that's what is on everybody's mind, and that's what she's got to ask. She's got the pulse of the nation. If she doesn't ask that,
oh yeah,
she's probably
in
fired.
trouble. Yeah, definitely. Great win, big win for Alabama. Moving forward, it looks like it's going to be 2, and they're probably going to play Jalen some. I think everybody agrees with that.
I think Jalen a little bit. He'll just eventually weed him on out.
I love it. All right, so we're going to move on down. Clemson 48-7 win over Furman. No surprise there.
Trevor Lawrence 3 touchdown passes.
Yeah, he did look good and it wasn't mop-up duty. I mean, he came in the first half. He looked good. Please, if you're seeing this, just go ahead and cut the hair, bro.
Yeah, please.
Let's go ahead and cut the hair, sunshine.
Yeah.
Georgia 45-0 over Austin Peay. Another non-surprise there. They're again played both quarterbacks.
Mm-hmm.
Both quarterbacks looked good in that game. Wisconsin played Thursday night. It's 34-3 over Western Kentucky. No surprise there. They did have a little bit of struggles, but they finally got running the ball with our Heisman Trophy candidate.
Jonathan Taylor did what he needed to do.
He did. A lot of people were complaining. He's like, he had 150 yards and 3 touchdowns, and people's dogging him out. So then it brings us to OSU. OSU without the 1 day suspension, one of the 3-day suspension that Urban Meyer has. That Josh pointed out. It's not 3 weeks. A lot of people around the nation thinks that Urban Meyer is getting 3 weeks off. That's incorrect. He's getting 3 days off. So he's basically banned from football operations for 3 days.
On Saturdays.
On Saturdays
only. He's there all day to Friday and starts back Sunday morning, which is a travesty.
It's awful.
For the punishment. We all agree on that.
I had a trustee quit over it, and I can honestly say I don't blame him.
I mean, I think we're all in agreements on that. That's bad.
When we thought it was 3 weeks,
we thought that was minimal.
We thought that was a little.
Yeah.
But now that we find out it's 3 days.
Yeah.
I mean, that's ridiculous.
That's ridiculous. I agree. OSU ended up hanging 77 on Oregon State. Is OSU that explosive, or is Oregon State that bad? Combination?
It's a combination. Haskins is really good, and to me, that's one of the reasons Haskins may actually win the Heisman, because Ohio State will beat you. If they have an opportunity to beat you like that, they will beat you like that.
Weber looked unbelievable as well, dude.
He's very good.
You're right. He's not going to ease off the throttle. He's going to hammer it in, especially now that he's got a chip on his shoulder.
Yeah, Oregon State paid the price for their off-season troubles.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. Then that brings us down to the next big game on the schedule, which, here in state, I don't think there wasn't a bigger game this week, and that's Auburn versus Washington. Another great game. Something I thought took away from the game. We broke the game down the other night, and I think we hit on all cylinders when we broke the game down. When Bruce come on the show, and again the other night when we talked about it, Auburn ended up winning the game 21-16. Stidham's numbers, Woods' Heisman candidates, 26 for 36, 273 yards, 1 touchdown, no picks. I think that's the biggest.
Against one of the best secondaries in the nation.
Yeah, and I think that the biggest stat there is no picks.
No picks. Versus
the team who led the Pac-12 in interceptions last year. Cam Martin ran the ball pretty well, had 80 yards. Stidham kind of let them back down the field when they had to score, when they was down 16-15. But it ended up being Boobie Whitlow who took it in from, I think, 4 yards out, I believe, somewhere in there, and had a Ronnie Brownish type run where he trucked a guy going into the end zone. What did you see in that game, Josh, that maybe stuck out to you?
I was very impressed with Washington. Auburn come out firing on all cylinders in the first quarter. Washington made some adjustments and hung around when they really could have. I think a lot of teams would have just
packed it in.
And the third quarter, both teams were getting up and down the field, but they were not scoring. A lot of red zone trips where neither team came away with anything. Let me say this: Derek Brown, Auburn.
Oh man,
game changer.
He's nasty.
He is.
The numbers don't show it, but he was getting double teamed. They were running the ball away from him, and which is not that good of an option either. To me personally, running the ball on Auburn is not a good option with that front seven.
Yeah, I remember the old segue kind of into NFL here, but I remember they used to say when you have people like that, you might as well run at them. And the reason being is you know what you're going to get. When you run away from him, it creates a whole nother group of troubles because you're going to have to do something to slow him down because he's coming. So you're going to have to waste another blocker there. Might as well just go attack him because I remember people like Reggie White, Bruce Smith, they used to just go ahead and run at him. Let's just go and get it over with because when we run away from him, we're having to hold up so much attention on this man that it's creating somebody else running free over here on us. So
Yes.
might as well just go right at him, in my opinion. What'd you say of that game?
It was Washington, great game. I thought Auburn would come out and dominate them, and it looked like they were going to, but Washington, Chris Peterson, don't underestimate them ever. Great secondary. There were several times, even when the offensive line did block well for Stidham, he was standing back there, no one to throw to, which concerns me. Is our Auburn's receivers, again, best secondary they're probably going to face this year, but is that a problem going forward with the separation between the receivers and DBs? I don't know. Stidham did have the drive at the end of the game. Again, he had 270 yards passing. Maybe not the the Will Greer type day, but he's playing to one of the best teams in the nation. Number 6 team in the nation, came out and did the job. Auburn's in a better position now than they were last year. How do they approach the season going forward? They're not the underdog. They're not the
Yeah.
It's a different outlook.
Let me say this. Gus Malzahn has turned over play calling duties to Chip Lindsey, which I thought was a great call on his part.
It actually looked like he actually did do that for once.
Yes. I think in years past, this would have been an Auburn loss.
I think so too.
So if you're an Auburn fan, I think you've got to be really happy about the way Auburn responded and the way they played. Because I think this could have easily, the last couple of years, they started out slow. I don't know what that's a product of. I don't know if Gus Malzahn getting that extension has put him more at ease.
Stability or something.
Yeah, but
Be happy. Just
great
beat
win
number
by
6 team in the nation first week.
Yeah, great win by Auburn. I don't think this puts Washington out of the playoff race. I think they'll run through the Pac-12, and I think they'll be in the playoff hunt at the end of the season.
I think you're right. Moving forward, we're going to go down the top 25. Oklahoma 63-14 over FAMU. I expected a little bit more out of Lane Kiffin in that one. Kyler Murray, who's already been drafted in number 8 in the MLB draft, I think. He was 9 for 11, 2 TDs, 0 picks on his first start, filling in for Baker Mayfield. He also had like 58 yards, I believe, rushing on the ground, but he had some joystick type controller runs. I mean, the guy looks every bit the part. To be drafted that high in the major leagues, he's got to be an athlete. And Oklahoma, I think he instantly popped himself up on the Heisman contention list with the way points are scored out there in that conference, because he's going to do that against anybody in that conference. I mean, you might as well get ready for that. All right, so then going on down the list, Miami and LSU, they haven't played yet. We'll recap that one on Wednesday. Let's go on down to Penn State. So we got Penn State number 10 versus Appalachian State. This is a typical why do you schedule these guys game. It makes no sense. You gain nothing by beating them. You know what I'm saying? I mean, if you beat Appalachian State, you beat Appalachian State. When you play them, they scare you to death. They actually took Penn State into overtime. McSorley did have a pretty good game, though. They ended up gutting that one out 45-38. Appalachian State doing what Appalachian State does.
Don't schedule them. Don't schedule Georgia Southern.
Yeah.
There's rules of thumb.
Even Alabama won the national title that year. You remember when Georgia Southern, I'm not going to say what Saban said after the game, but how they ran through them. You remember that?
Yeah.
But that was hilarious. Yeah. Another game, number 11, Michigan State 38, Utah State 31. Kind of a blah at best. Come from behind fourth quarter win by Michigan State at home versus Utah State.
I really don't know if that's a product of how good Michigan State is or how good Utah State is. It's hard to tell, hard to get a read on Michigan State at this point.
They're usually well coached. They just look like they don't have the athletes they usually do, and it just was a blah game from start to finish to me. That brings us to our next huge game that we were going to cover this week, which is Notre Dame, Michigan. A couple of things that digging into that game, leading up to this game, we said the X factor of that game was going to be Shea Patterson. If Shea Patterson could get out there and perform, especially on a big stage like that, Michigan had a great chance to win, especially with Brian Kelly's track record of losing those games. That didn't happen. Notre Dame won 24-17. huge win for Brian Kelly. Huge win for Brian Kelly. Looking at Shea Patterson's numbers, he is 20 for 30, 227 yards, 0 touchdowns, 1 interception, and the game-losing fumble. Then Wimbush, on the other hand, he played very well. He had the 1 touchdown pass, but he had like right at 60 yards rushing. But he did enough to keep those drives going. At one point, it was it 21-3. At one point, we thought this was going to be a blowout. Give Michigan a little bit of credit for fighting back. But I think Woods nailed this one best. The one X factor that caused Michigan to lose this game, what was it?
Jim McElwain. They won't. I mean, he's atrocious. He's horrible. I don't know. Harbaugh actually deserves to be on the hot seat for hiring him.
Oh, I agree.
Honestly, I mean, you got to be a better. Did you watch Florida's offenses, bro? I mean, we can go back. Oh man, he won championships at Alabama. Yeah, with NFL defenses. I mean, that's just the way it is.
And NFL receivers.
Yes. Dude, this is not. Jim McElwain is not reinventing something. He's horrible. He's terrible. He couldn't come. I'm not even sure who runs the offense at Geraldine, but he could go there and he'd fall flat on his face. He'd fall flat on his face. I can't even look at him. I mean, I defended him the first year, and then because he's a Florida coach, but he's awful. Look at Shea Patterson. He regressed.
There's some dude at Geraldine right now saying, "What?"
Yeah. Nothing against Geraldine.
Nothing against Geraldine,
yeah.
But I mean,
yes.
These dude at Geraldine and I are watching.
He is
watching these dudes no more, bro.
We talked about the X factor, and he was the X factor for Notre Dame. So
yeah, he was.
That's my opinion on it.
What'd you see in that game?
Exactly what he saw. Shea Patterson is. I thought he was going to be the X factor. I personally picked Michigan to win this game. Harbaugh's on the hot seat with me.
I think he is.
There's no doubt.
I think he is. I think Wood said it. He's on the hot seat for hiring this. I'm not going to use any adjectives on this show, but this clown. I'll say
yes.
clown. Yes. And that's what he is, a sideshow. You might see my post on Facebook today. Who probably knows what I feel about him. Moving forward, Stanford had a huge win, 31-10. All right, it moves us up to USC, who's starting a true freshman quarterback from modern day. They won 43-21. TCU beat Southern 55-7. Here's our next major game that we broke down. That was West Virginia, Tennessee. I'm gonna tell you something. The score doesn't kind of resonate how this game really went. I thought Tennessee did a good job of hanging in there, being scrappy and fighting with them. It ended up being 40-14. But the one thing I note, Will Greer's numbers, when you go back and look at them, 25 for 34, 429 yards, 5 touchdowns, and 0 picks. So what does that mean to you? You watched the game. The game didn't seem to be as big a blowout, and I don't like Tennessee at all, but Tennessee scrapped with them.
Yeah, I mean it's 13-7 at halftime. The wheels kind of came off in the third quarter. West Virginia scored 20 points in the third quarter. I think, and this is weird to say, but if you're a Tennessee fan, I think you're happy with what you saw. I think they're definitely improved from last season. But Will Greer, Heisman contender, I believe West Virginia is going to compete for a spot in the playoffs. And I think Tennessee, I think they'll have a better year than they did last year.
Biggest thing for Tennessee you can take out of this game is Tim Jordan. Rushed for over 100 yards. So, defense. The defense hung in there in the first half, but it wore down. They're like we said, the middle of their defense is good, but there's no depth. They just, you'll see in a couple weeks. They'll start playing some SEC teams, and we'll see what they truly are. Again, Holgerson and Will Greer are going to line up a few defenses this year.
Guarantano
played well.
19-25, 172 yards, no picks, 1 touchdown.
I think the no picks is huge.
And then you got Marquez Callaway, special player, 7 receptions, 85 yards.
David Seals for West Virginia, 140 yards, 2 touchdowns.
He's nasty, dude.
He is.
A lot to build on from this game if you're Tennessee.
Yes, I agree.
All right, that brings us number 18, Mississippi State, 63-6 over Stephen F. Austin. FSU and Virginia Tech play each other Monday night, I believe. The defending national champs, UCF 56, UConn 17. What? What? I mean, what's so funny? Defending national
They
champs.
have rings to show it.
Yeah, they got a banner too.
They don't have a trophy.
Yeah, they do. They made their own.
Someone gave them a trophy though.
Yeah.
Someone did create a trophy. I can't remember who
Sears
it
and
was.
Roebuck.
Hey, look, we say this jokingly, but we actually know a guy who takes this very serious.
He's probably going to come on and talk about it, actually. We're going to do a segment on Let Slade explain the UCF National Championship. Then number 22, Boise State, 56-20 over Troy. I was surprised.
Yes.
I thought that'd be a fourth quarter game at least.
Yeah, I really expected a lot more out of Troy.
I didn't understand all that, bro. I just didn't. I didn't understand all that.
Yeah, it took me by surprise.
I mean, it did me too. All right, this next game, I want you to talk about this. I know you've seen this on SportsCenter. Texas versus Maryland. Texas ended up ultimately losing that game. It's a huge loss for Tom Herman.
Tom Herman's been exposed.
Yeah, dude. Tell me a little bit about what you thought about that game, and leading into that game, the tribute that they gave out to McNair, for passing away. How the offensive line lined up, and they left the position, the right guard position, open for him on purpose to draw a penalty, and then Texas declined the penalty. I thought that was huge.
Classy on both teams.
What do you think about Tom Herman yourself personally? I mean, look at that job, and he's not getting it done. Definitely to their standards.
You're at the University of Texas, and Maryland beats you. Maryland don't even have a head coach right now.
Yeah. They got Matt Canada from LSU as a head coach fill-in right now.
And I think this is a growing trend. Is people are quickly jumping onto some of these coaches' bandwagons based off of I don't know what. I truly believe that Willie Taggart was just a horrible hire, and I think Tom Herman 2 years in a row lost to Maryland. This year without a head coach. I think he's got to be on the hot seat. And I hate to say that after week one, but
I think he
abysmal loss by Texas.
I think he is too. I mean, he was hired to do, this is Texas. Should be a top 5 program in the nation with the resources in school. But I'm going to tell you this right now. Things ain't getting no better when they hire Jimbo. Because now Jimbo's fixing to start eating that dude's recruits up.
Yes.
And he's fixing to lock that state down just like he did Florida. I mean, luckily for Texas, they don't have to play them. Because I promise you that wouldn't go his way either.
I think they did try to renew that rivalry, and I don't think Texas wanted to.
Well, they don't want no part of that.
Mm-mm.
They have nothing to gain, especially with Jimbo being there. You don't want no part in that. Huge loss for him. Oregon had a huge win, 58-24. Number 25 team in the nation. Who is the number 25 team in the nation? Because they didn't play
LSU.
LSU. That's right. They're playing Monday. That's right. So that pretty much covers our top 25 review show. Guys, we've seen a lot of teams take a step forward. We've seen a few teams take a step back.
Real quick, when you're talking about step back, UCLA.
Yeah.
Lost to Cincinnati. Chip Kelly.
You're right.
17 points.
Another game we want to talk about just before we close out is Florida Gators. Huge win for Florida. I think Dan Mullen's debut, he did very well. Felipe Franks had 5 touchdowns the first half. Defense was all swarming like they used to swarm. I'm going to let Woods dive into the game a little bit.
The buzz was different. You could feel it. You could see it. And in mentioning, again, following players on Instagram and Twitter, the buzz in the stadium is outstanding. Again, they did what they were supposed to do. Franks threw 5 touchdown passes. We were excited to watch a Gator football game. First time, and again, it's Charleston Southern, but even in the last 10 years against the Charleston Southern, it's a 31-6 victory, not a 53-6 victory.
Or 31-13.
Yeah, 31-13. Something silly. Defense looked good. Again, it's Charleston Southern, but a lot of reason to believe even more for Florida fans. But again, I didn't take to Facebook and say, Frank's had 5 first half touchdown passes and he's the greatest of all time, and I didn't do that. I'm gonna wait till they play someone a little better than Charleston Southern, and then I'll.
It feels like
then
it was
I'll
aimed
hop
at
out there.
someone.
Yeah, I don't.
But this week we play Kentucky, but at least it's SEC caliber team. So I'd like to see how we block them. Our receiving transfers that we got in, I thought Jefferson
and
Grimes both were nasty.
Yeah.
We ran the football well.
David Reese was suspended, didn't have our
We had
leader.
10 we had
CC
10
Jefferson.
Was it nine players suspended?
Yeah.
We had 9
Kadarius
players
Toney.
suspended. Yep.
I mean, it's for a lot of them for the airsoft gun, stupid thing they got into. And then some of them for academic reasons, they'll be full strength next week. And in a couple weeks, we'll see what we really have.
It's just fun watching Gator football.
It is
move the
fun
ball
watching
finally.
Gator football.
Guys, we're going to close this out. Please hit the subscribe button, hit the bell sign to get all of our notifications when we drop new videos. This is Average Joe's Sports Talk. Take it easy.